Hey, I'm Dan Ackerman here at CES 2015 with my colleague Nate Ralph, and we are doing one of my favorite things here at the show. We do this every year, and we go over all the coolest, most notable new laptop and PC designs. This started out years ago as just laptops. We expanded it into hybrids, into tablets, now into some desktops and accessories. And this is a really huge year for PCs here at CES. We have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. This is obviously your first time doing this show with me, but it's not your first time at CES.
Definitely not.
You've been here, what, like 3 or 4?
3 or 4 years, 3 or 4 times,
okay.
yeah.
I've been miscounting all week. I thought it was 11 years. It's actually my 12th year here.
Oh,
and I've not gotten used to the desert dryness yet. I buy cough drops by the caseload.
Yeah.
But to get through all this, we are going to start right here with what I think one of the more unique things here, and that is a big, gigantic laptop. Looks like a standard, inexpensive clamshell, but it's a Chromebook. This is the Acer Chromebook 15, and it is, according to Acer, the first 15-inch Chromebook. Before now, we've had 11-inch models, 12-inch models, a couple of 13s and 14s, but never a big 15. Have you used a Chromebook before, Nate?
I have used a Chromebook before. They're really interesting devices because they're sort of like pared down laptops, and we're used to seeing them in much smaller sizes, obviously, at much lower price points. And it's interesting that Acer's going with the 15-inch because it's a more familiar size to people.
It may change your expectations of what a system like this is supposed to be able to do, because a Chromebook is basically just an online tool. It's basically the Chrome web browser and a couple of small functions. So if you're using Gmail or Netflix or other online tools like Google Docs, it makes a lot of sense, and a lot of things people do today are strictly online. I know a lot of people have computers and never do anything other than surf the web, in which case a Chromebook can make sense. In a big 15-inch model like this, you may expect it to do more, and that's why they put in one of the newer CPUs that Intel has here, a Celeron from that new Broadwell generation, and that could help it be a little bit speedier. You can get a 1080p screen on this, so it'll look decent at this big 15-inch size. And what do you think something like this would cost?
I'd say about 400, 500.
$249 it starts. If you want to get the 1080p screen, it's a little bit more. Standard plastic body, obviously not a super fancy laptop, but if you want something that's more like all-day, everyday computer-wise, but want an inexpensive Chromebook, this is the first time we've seen something like this in that big size.
And at the same point, Google Chrome or Chromebooks rather, they're growing up. I mean, right now, they're still a little bit web focused, but like people like Adobe's developing a version of Photoshop that's going to be optimized for Google Chrome OS, and that's really interesting to see something in that form factor because we're getting to sizes that we're more familiar with. We're going to start getting the apps that we're more familiar with appearing on these devices, and they're still, $250. It's still at a really nice price point.
It's almost an impulse buy.
Exactly.
People, that's the objection people always have about Chrome OS. Can I do this? Can I do that? And you have to sometimes find substitute web apps for the real things. But once you get sort of like a cloud-based version of Photoshop,
once the big kids start bringing their software to these devices,
we use an app called Pixlr. That's like a Photoshop substitute. So I'm going to show you something that's totally different now, much more upscale. This is the Asus Transformer Book Chi. And it is a hybrid. It's not a fold-back hybrid. It's a pull-apart hybrid. They've had Transformer books before, but this one is new. It's got a fancier body. It's got a 12.5-inch touchscreen. It uses Intel's Core M processor. That's the low-power processor for sort of high-end laptops, and you can actually put it in systems that run without fans, fanless systems, and that lets them be lighter, quieter, run cooler. So this guy has a magnetic attachment, and I'm just going to pull it apart. Boom, there it is. So now you've got your full Windows 8 Core M tablet right here.
On a very wide display.
All right. And then if you want to plug it into the keyboard, unlike a lot of the other hybrids that have like kind of complex mechanical latches, this is just a magnetic one, and it just, boom, pops right on like that. Here, give that a try, and tell me if you think that's easy to put on and take off.
Definitely.
See, and you can get up to a 2560 by 1440 screen. I think there's and it stays on. I think it's got a 1080p screen also. What I like is that the keyboard, it's connected magnetically, but it's a Bluetooth connection. So I can actually take the screen over here. Oh, the magnet is so strong. And you can actually type on the keyboard, and we're still connected over here. And this is actually going to be either $699 or $799, depending on what screen you get. And that's interesting because the only other Core M system I spent a lot of time with was the Yoga 3, and that's much more expensive. It's more than $1,000. So for $700 or $800, this is a pretty premium-looking device that, like the best hybrids, doesn't mess up the laptop form factor. You can just use it as a regular laptop. Now I'm going to hand you this, and you're going to tell me about this because you spent a lot more time with this. Everyone says it's probably one of the top number 1 or 2 or 3 coolest PCs here at the show. Tell me what it is.
It's one of the designs I'm most interested about, and it's kind of the anti-Chrome M notebook. I mean, while those are fanless and super thin, this is more about getting us a solid device without compromises, you know?
Okay.
It's running one of Intel's new Broadwell processors.
Now tell me what it's called first.
It's called the Dell XPS 13.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. And the interesting about this is it's a 13-inch display on an 11-inch body form factor.
Body.
You could probably, I mean, you could sit this inside of a small laptop. And they accomplish it using all kinds of technological wizardry, but the real obvious point right here is the super thin
bezel.
5.2 millimeter bezel. It looks really slick, as you can
It's a lot
probably
different from
tell.
pretty much any other laptop. TVs have gone there, where you get the bezel-less TV.
Right, yeah.
And we haven't seen that in laptops yet, which I think is always very kind of strange.
Yeah.
But it's got the edge-to-edge glass over it. Here, show it right over here. And then it's just super thin. You almost have just the all-screen, look. We're not quite there yet, touchscreen there, but we're getting closer all the time, and this is definitely one of the coolest, sharpest looking new designs out there. I know Intel showed it off earlier this week when they were showing off some of the cooler, nicer designs.
We've got the screen. It's a 3200 by 1800 pixel resolution, so that's Quad HD plus if you're following the buzzwords. This particular model is a touchscreen, but they also have non-touch options. If you get the non-touch option, you get an anti-glare coating, which is nice. I like touch, but I don't really like glossy displays. They get really reflective. There are parties in sunlight. So something without touch, anti-glare coating, that might be a little more interesting. Now, Dell is quoting 15 hours of battery life.
Okay.
And that's something I definitely want to get in. I want to get in and test that because, I mean, that's all going to depend on, the processor you get. It goes from Core i3 all the way to Core i7. So it's going to depend on the processor you get. It's going to depend on the screen. It's going to depend on a lot of different variables. So I'm really interested in seeing, what kind of life we can get out of our tests.
Most important question, how much is it going to cost? Because it looks really high-end.
It starts at $799.
Okay.
You're going to pay more if you, get larger SSDs, if you get the higher resolution screen, et cetera, et cetera. But it starts at $799, and that's not cheap. It's not like $249 for your Chromebook. But that's
a super premium
exactly.
look. That's actually pretty good.
That's where we're getting to the point where I look at this and I look at a MacBook Air, and I'm giving pause. I'm like, what do I go for? I mean, as someone who's primarily Windows users, I'm Windows 8 reviewer. I'm leaning more towards something like this,
funny. Anything that's like this, like a 13-inch, everyone immediately compares to the MacBook Air.
Right.
That's sort of the benchmark.
And that's something Dell is not shying away from here, which is super exciting because it's a really neat device. Want to see more of it.
Cool, yeah, I think this is super cool. I look forward to testing that out. We don't see here a lot of desktops all the time. It's a very laptop and tablet and hybrid-oriented show here, but there was one cool desktop that I really wanted us to take a chance to look at, and that is this. Look at this little guy right here.
I was a desktop reviewer for a while, so I'm really familiar with the HP Minis, and it's great to see that they're keeping at it because a lot of people love desktops, a lot of people love entertainment centers, that sort of thing. And I just love seeing them getting smaller and smaller every year.
Back to the days of the home theater PC. We used to call them HT PCs, and people would plug them into their TVs, and they do their internet streaming, and they download stuff before everyone had like Roku boxes or game consoles that did all the streaming. So there's less use for them now, but it's nice to see them making a comeback. Or you could just put it on your desk. This is the HP Pavilion Mini. You can just put it on your desk and not take up a ton of space. Now this version, I think it's got a Pentium CPU, it's got a 500 gigabyte hard drive. I love that it has, let's take a look at the back real fast. It's got 2 video outputs. It's got an HDMI and it's got a display port. You can actually power 2 monitors off it. And of course it's got an Ethernet jack, which is great if you're doing a lot of streaming. A lot of smaller devices are just Wi-Fi only. They actually make a less expensive version. This is $319. They make a blue version. If you see the blue one of these, that is the HP Stream Mini. It looks exactly the same. It's got the same 2 video outputs in the back, but it doesn't have the 500 gig hard drive inside. It has just a small SSD, and it's got a Celeron processor, but that guy, it's good if you're going to stream a lot of shows off Netflix. It's $179 for something that's sort of like a Mac Mini competitor. That's pretty awesome.
And nowadays, I'm probably more inclined to plug a Chromecast into my HDMI output, but get something like this, get a wireless keyboard and a mouse. You can just kick back and just...
You can just surf the web from your TV, which is always much harder to do than anyone thinks it's actually going to be. All right, are you ready? I'm going to blow your mind right now.
Okay.
This is a product that I have put in several people's hands during this week just to judge their reactions. It is not the fanciest looking laptop out there, don't get me wrong. This is the Lenovo LaVie, capital L, capital V. This is a product they've worked on with NEC. They have a partnership in Japan where they make computers together. This is the first time they're bringing one of them out into the rest of the world, where it's going to be Lenovo branded. This is a 13-inch hybrid style laptop. See, it goes back like this, just like the Lenovo Yogas. They also make a clamshell version. Here's the amazing part. This hybrid version here weighs just a hair over 2 pounds. The clamshell is 1.7 pounds. I'm just going to put this in your hand right now and just give me your immediate reaction.
It's really light.
Isn't that really light?
It's kind of unnervingly light. But it still feels sturdy. You know, I feel like my first impression is, wow, I'm going to snap this thing in half if I hold it too tightly. But that's obviously not the case here.
It feels like it feels like a mock-up. Like somebody's showing you, oh, here's a product we're going to make next year. Here's just a plastic shell for it. It's actually made of a magnesium lithium alloy, which Lenovo says is 50% lighter than a standard magnesium alloy, but just as strong.
Right.
And there's some design compromises you get. The keyboard is not probably as fancy as on the regular Lenovo laptops. This is actually an NEC design system, but it is so amazingly light. I think it's really a potential game changer because your MacBook Air, your 13-inch MacBook Air is something like 2.6, 2.7 pounds.
And that's still really light.
That's still really light, and people are so used to that. But when you shave a lot of weight off of that, and even the Yoga 3, the other super lightweight one from Lenovo, that's like 2.5 pounds. So that really makes a big difference, especially if you have this touchscreen model that goes like this. And you'd think they put a Core M in here, the low power chip. Full Broadwell 5th generation. You can get a Core i5 in here. You can get just a full power CPU. So it should run just as good as any larger laptop. And here's what I thought was really cool. These are going to come out, I think, in April or May.
Okay.
The clamshell, $12.99. This guy, $14.99.
Okay.
Not cheap, but not really a premium price.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are going to be super interested in seeing this. I don't think Lenovo had the booth set up here in the show, but if you go to the Intel booth, they have the NEC branded version of this, I'm told, and you can actually go and pick it up yourself and just go, wow, that is just so amazingly light.
Awesome.
I'm going to show you the only PC accessory I've ever shown at one of these shows that we've done here, just because I think it's super cool and also very design-centric. And that's this little stack of things right here, and that is called the Lenovo ThinkPad Stack.
It's a stack.
And what we have here is a Bluetooth speaker. We've got a little extra battery pack. We've got an external 1 terabyte hard drive, and we've got an access point. So if you plug your laptop in it and you've got an internet connection, you can then broadcast that connection, and other devices can get on it like it's a Wi-Fi access point. Now here's why it's called a stack. I can take each item, and I can take them off, and I can stack them up, in different configurations. And I can buy this one, and I can buy this one. I don't have to buy them all, and you just put them all together. They connect magnetically, and they pass power through them through these little pin connectors right here. And if you want some accessories that don't take up a lot of room on your desktop, you can actually use them with any laptop. They're not locked into a ThinkPad, although the design aesthetic kind of matches. I think this is super cool. The speaker's $89, the power bank is $50, and the access point and the hard drive are together for $199.
Right. Cool.
So there you go, some cool accessories.
I actually really like this. I like this idea. Mostly because it's the sort of thing where I keep the bulk of them on my desk at home or in the office or something. But if I'm traveling and I know, hey, I want this Ethernet jack, a power bank, and a couple of USB ports.
Yeah, that's super useful.
I could throw something in my bag. I know at least a couple of days this week I've wanted to throw something like this into my bag.
Everyone is always running out of laptop power here walking around.
Or losing their Ethernet connectors for their, so that's cool.
All right, cool. So we got a couple more to go.
Yeah.
This guy right here, this is the new Samsung Book 9. That's a series they've had for several years now. We've always thought it was like a super nice, super high-end laptop line. It was sort of their MacBook Air competitor originally, but it's really almost gone beyond that.
Right.
It's got a cool kind of bluish design with these cool curves on the side like this. So this is the new version, and this is actually a little bit different in that it's got a 12.2-inch screen, which is a size you don't really see. You see a 12.5 every once in a while, and it's just over 2 pounds. It's only slightly heavier than this guy right here. This does have a Core M in it, so it's very light, runs very efficiently, very cool. Got a very small footprint, and it's got that big 2560 by 1600 screen resolution.
Very cool.
The one thing I'm missing on it right now, in this version at least, is a touchscreen. I think it could really benefit from that, but sometimes, if you have something that's very small and very thin, that's the part that you leave out. It's actually pretty reasonably priced, $11.99.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've always thought this Book 9 series is one of the most premium Windows PC laptop lines you can buy. And they certainly continue to come out with new versions of it, so I think that's super cool.
Yeah, cool. It's definitely, I mean, it's light, and the fanless designs are always super interesting to me because you never really think about the fan until you're doing something and it spins up and it's just annoying. And sometimes you're not doing much at all. Sometimes it's just browsing the web and Chrome decides it wants to be a little greedy right now. And then my fans kick on and I'm just annoyed, or maybe I'm on a plane or something. And so the fanless designs are interesting, and I'm glad to see that they're not shying on the resolution. The price isn't too bad, and it's very light.
And it's very light.
Yeah.
And Samsung actually does some really interesting PC designs. They don't really get enough credit for them.
Yeah.
They have an all-in-one computer here that's obviously too big for us to bring up on stage with us, but it's got a curved screen, just like the Samsung TVs, and that's a way where they're taking the research that they do in TVs and other divisions and bringing them into computers. I think we'll see, hopefully, more curved screons on PCs this year. We're seeing it on some monitors, at least.
Yeah.
We'll see if people take to it. I think it's immersive, it's fun, but maybe it's not for everybody. You want a curved screen?
I don't know. I haven't spent enough time with them to really, make that call one way or the other. At the moment, I can't figure out what I would use it for, and I primarily like multiple displays. Multiple curved displays, really. Maybe a 21.9 one that's super wide.
One of the bendable ones that starts flat and then bends in and then comes back.
We'll figure that out.
Show us our last laptop of this collection here.
Last one here.
This is the Toshiba Z20T. It's another hybrid. And this one is great if you do a lot of things that people do with hybrids and tablets, like drawing and sketching or taking notes. And I'll tell you why. It's got a traditional latch here. I'll help you take it apart here. You go, boom, and then you lift the top off. So here's your anti-glare screen Core M tablet right here. Cool. Obviously connects to the keyboard base. Now right over there, you have got the stylus that you would use with it. Nice big chunky stylus. And Toshiba has a bunch of custom apps they do for drawing and sketching. So you can use like this and that's fine. But this guy is kind of big. It doesn't really fit on anywhere. So what do? They actually pack in a second hidden stylus. And I'm going to show you where it is. It is right down here. I have to wedge there it is. And there's your second backup stylus, just in case you don't have your actual stylus with you. And I think that is an interesting solution to the problem of what do you do with the stylus. You can leave the big one at home, and you can take the other one with you. And this is going to be, I think it's $14.99. And you get both styluses, you get the Core M, you get the anti-glare screen. That's the thing a lot of people ask for because so many laptops have glossy screens. So I'm glad to see some options out there where people can get the anti-glare. Everyone at CNET prefers a matte screen. That's the big secret.
I know styluses aren't very stylish nowadays, but I'm a sucker for them. I'm a sucker for doodling, mostly for handwriting notes. And Windows 8 and Windows 7, Windows historically has always had really good handwriting recognition.
But will Windows 10 be stylus and drawing and handwriting friendly? You're the Windows 10 expert. Tell me.
It definitely will be. I mean, Windows 10 it's an evolution of Windows, and they aren't going to get rid of old features, especially old features that are really great. On the technical preview of Windows 10, we haven't really seen much of the touch features yet. We're going to be seeing some of that probably in a couple of weeks. Microsoft is doing an event out of their campus in Redmond. I'm going to be there. Cool. But so we're probably going to see more of that, and I'm super interested.
And I'm going to predict that next year, when we're back here doing this again, almost all of these laptops are going to have Windows 10 on them. I thought maybe we'd see a sneak peek or two this year. Didn't happen. I think next year is going to be the year of Windows 10.
Windows 10, yeah.
All right, well, Nate, Ralph, thank you for joining me for this roundup of all the cool new PC, laptop, tablet, hybrid, desktop designs here at CES. I am Dan Ackerman at CES 2015.